The forgotten room in my grandfather's house. My grandfather's house stood at the edge of a quiet American town, a place where autumn sunlight turned the wooden walls golden and every creak of the floorboards seemed to tell a story. The house was old, larger than it needed to be, and smelled faintly of cedar and aged paper. I had grown up running through its hallways, climbing stairs that groaned under my weight, and hiding in corners where dust motes danced like tiny fairies in the sunbeams. Yet, there was one room I never entered, a door tucked into the farthest hallway, always locked, always closed. The brass knob gleamed faintly in the light, but I never dared touch it. My grandmother's words still echoed in my ears. Some doors, she had said when I asked about it as a child, once opened, cannot be closed again. I had ignored her warning then, as children often do. Curiosity is relentless at 7. But over the years, life and responsibility dulled that curiosity, until my grandfather passed away. The house became silent, a mausoleum of memories, and only then did the key to the forgotten room appear, small, brass, warm in my hand, hiding among a stack of dusty ledgers in the attic. It fit perfectly. The moment I turned the lock, the air shifted. Dust swirled in the muted sunlight, and the scent of old paper and forgotten years filled the room. The walls were faded, wallpaper curling at the edges, and the wooden floorboards creaked under my tentative steps. On a small oak table lay stacks of letters, photographs, and a worn leather journal. My fingers trembled as I opened it. The handwriting was my grandfather's, precise, deliberate, yet unmistakably sad. Each page revealed stories of struggle I had never known. He had arrived in America with nothing but a suitcase, fleeing debt and failure, carrying the remnants of a love that had left scars. The room was his confession, a sanctuary where he unburdened his soul. Then I saw a photograph that froze my blood. A young woman, unfamiliar, cradled a baby in her arms. The baby was unmistakably my father. My heart raced. The woman was not my grandmother. I ran downstairs to my father, the photograph shaking in my hands. "That's your mother," he said finally, his voice low, trembling. "I never told you about her because it was too dangerous. She stayed behind when we came here." I felt the room spin. Everything I thought I knew about my family, about our safe, quiet life in America, collapsed. The forgotten room had been hiding not just memories, but the invisible threads of a life interrupted, of love abandoned, of a father I had always admired carrying ghosts I never imagined. Over the next days, I pored through the letters and journal entries. I learned of my grandfather's first life in a distant city, of his struggles with crime he had once been forced into, of nights spent in freezing alleys trying to survive. He had loved my father's mother fiercely, but she had been trapped in a world too dangerous for him to bring her to America. So he left, took the child he could protect, and built a new life, erasing the past from the world but never from his heart. One rainy evening, I sat in the forgotten room with the journal on my lap. Thunder rumbled outside, echoing the turmoil I felt inside. For the first time, I saw my grandfather not as a stern, distant figure, but as a man who had made impossible choices to protect us, choices that left him carrying a lifetime of silent pain. Then I noticed a folded letter, yellowed with age, tucked behind the photographs. My hands shook as I opened it. The handwriting was my grandfather's, but the words were addressed to my father's mother. "I hope one day you understand why I left. I wanted to protect you, to protect him, our son. America can be cruel, but I wanted him safe, even if it cost us everything." Tears blurred my vision. I realized that the forgotten room had been a shrine to sacrifice. My grandfather had locked away his failures, his regrets, his love so that we could live free from the weight of the past. Driven by a mixture of anger, curiosity, and love, I decided to find the woman in the photograph. I traced letters, contacted distant relatives, pieced together the fragments of a life that had been abandoned decades ago. What I found was astonishing. She had survived, raised my half-brother in a city hundreds of miles away, living quietly, never forgetting the son she had been forced to leave behind. I drove through rainy streets and endless highways to meet her. She was older now, her face lined but her eyes fierce, full of life and memory. She looked at me, hesitant, and then the recognition hit. "You're him," she whispered. "Your father, he never forgot me, did he?" I told her about the forgotten room, the journal, the letters. She listened, silent at first, then tears ran down her cheeks. "He tried," she said finally. "He tried to give you a better life, even if it meant living with this, with all of this pain. He was brave, your grandfather." Returning home, I realized the truth. The forgotten room had been more than a room, it had been a bridge between two worlds, two lives fractured by circumstance, by struggle, by survival. It had held the story of sacrifice, of love, of choices that no one should ever have to make. I locked the room once more, not to hide the truth, but to honor it. Not everything is meant to be lived in the light, some memories are sacred, preserved to remind us of the human heart's capacity for courage and love. And yet, as I stood in the empty hallway, listening to the rain and the echoes of my childhood, I felt a strange sense of peace. The forgotten room had taught me that the past is never truly gone. It waits quietly, patiently, in corners we think are long abandoned. And when we finally face it, it gives us the greatest gift, understanding. My grandfather had given us more than a home, he had given us survival, love, and a story that would shape generations. And I, standing in the quiet of the old house, realized that true redemption is not about erasing the past. It is about acknowledging it, carrying it, and allowing it to guide us toward a life worth living. Sometimes, the doors we fear to open hold not shame, but wisdom. The forgotten room, with all its secrets and ghosts, was a testament to that truth. And as I walked away, closing the door behind me, I knew I would never forget it or the man who had given everything to protect us. Backhand index pointing right. What would you do if this happened to you? Comment below.